Oh, Steve, you had the lead there. You could have been out the door first. Slacked. Where'd you go? Oh, tangled up. Oh, my goodness. Well, that didn't work out. Getting a cat to do what you want when you want. Who do I think I am? The cat tamer? Anyhow, it's 37 degrees just before 9 o'clock, and our first January thaw is in the books. The temperature in the last 24 hours did not get below freezing. And that qualifies as a thaw when the temperature stays above freezing in the winter in New England. And you can see that we've got water in our ice bucket. So this is what happens during a thaw. Now we didn't have a complete meltdown, but we definitely had a defrost. Today was the day that a week ago we expected a major storm going south of Nantucket. And guess what? We got a major storm going south of Nantucket. But what lacks is the cold front. Way over there, there's a cold front. And this morning, Peter in Connecticut and many others reported a dusting of snow. And that has more to do with the ocean storm, which we're on the fringe of, than what's going on way up north around Jay Peak, Vermont this morning. Actual dendrites. It's snowing like crazy at Jay at press time here at 9 a.m. That's 1 inch per hour snow with an Arctic cold front, which is pressing south. But because the storm way out over the ocean and the Arctic front remained separate for now, we are all, for the most part, missing a major storm today, although that's an isolated, beautiful J cloud. So this storm is fascinating. It's forecast this afternoon to be 1,004 millibar low east of Virginia, deepening to a 966 low south of Nova Scotia 24 hours later. That is a negative 38 millibar change. That's called bombogenesis, when the central pressure on a storm goes down more than 24 millibars in 24 hours. And there's another one coming in here that's also going to experience bombogenesis. Our weekend storm, back-to-back bombogenesis. There's a long way to go before we get to the weekend storm. There's a lot of hemming and hawing going on, too. I don't know about this track and that track and the rain, snow line and all that. And yeah, that's legitimate. But overall, it's a fairly straightforward weather forecast for the system, not counting rain, snow lines. It's going to snow for about 18 hours where it's all snow. And it's going to snow about 3/4 of an inch an hour, so it's going to be about 13 inches of snow where it stays freezing and it's all snow. But those rain snow lines are impossible. And also, your northern extent of the heavy snow bands is also quite impossible. Before we get there, though, I'd like to share with you the Ocean Prediction Center analysis with a storm that missed us over the last 2 days is way out there. That's a powerful storm. And then the forecast for tonight and tomorrow, developing hurricane force. That's the 966 low that's missing us. And then look to the left there. There's a blue line separating two H's. See the H to the north of the blue line, 1027, and the H to the south of the blue line, 1027. Now, if that H to the south stayed in charge, we would end up with a fairly warm storm. But instead, that blue line is also called a backdoor cold front. And the 1027H in southeastern Canada is going to press in ahead of the incoming storm. So we're going to be infusing one batch of cold air tonight and tomorrow, and then another batch of cold air on Saturday into Sunday morning, ahead of this next system. So that dusting of snow you had in spots this morning is indicative of a pattern change that often occurs before the big storms happen. We get a dusting of snow here or there, and next up is that big storm, with cold air being infused on the north side of it. So what that says to me is it is going to be cold enough for snow, even near the coast here in my backyard.
There could be some mixing issues, but I believe that the dynamic of the snow production growth will negate any warm air at lower parts of the atmosphere. So cold air will be dynamically infused with the precipitation process. Evaporation absorbs heat, condensation releases heat, and that heat release is going to cause upward vertical motion, and that in turn is going to enhance the snowflake growth potential, and we're going to end up with banding snow. Bands of snow along a coastal boundary. I think the best way to illustrate what a coastal boundary is just looking at the temperature change in Boston. First of all, the temperature goes way down tonight. That's the red line. And then tomorrow's a cold, dry day after a freezing start. Steve is totally stuck here. How does this happen? Sorry. I should have just left him stuck. I'm trying to discuss these complicated things. Yeah, I'm frustrated. I've been looking at maps for hours trying to simplify this, and it's all part of the game, isn't it? Back to that graphic I was just showing. Snow is going to come in a little bit ahead of schedule here. There's going to be some ocean effect snow, so it'll start snowing late in the afternoon from Cape Ann to Boston. Then you see the red line and the blue line just fall off a cliff there. Around 1 o'clock, the temperature goes from about 33 to 25 in just an hour or so. That has to do with the wind shift. The wind will come from the east, then the northeast, then the north. And as soon as it comes from the north in Boston, the temperature is going to go down several degrees, and it's just going to whale snow for a couple of more hours. Whale snow, that means 1 to 2 inches per hour. But before that happens, there are going to be these snow bands. There may be 2 or 3 of them on thermal boundaries emanating all the way from, I-95 near Providence, right through I-90, through the entire Massachusetts Turnpike into New York, and also up north of Route 2, several thermal boundaries, and they're going to have these bands of snow. And in those bands of snow, you can be snowing 2 to 3 inches per hour, while just a few miles away, it might be snowing less than a ½ inch an hour. So when those bands move over your place, you may pick up a quick 5 inches of snow, and then it could shut off, something like that. So that's why I'm just going to go with the average being 16 hours of precipitation at 3/4 of an inch an hour, or 18 hours at 3/4 of an inch an hour gets us to about 13 inches. So I'd say many of the higher elevations away from the coast are going to come in with a foot of snow. And here near the shore, my 33-33-3 rule, if your temperature and dew point are near 33 and your wind is gusting over 33 and you get 3 inches or more of snow, it pastes everything and the power lines start coming down. Trees start breaking and power lines start coming down. So we're probably going to have many serious power outage issues near the edge of the boundary between the warmer ocean air and the colder inland air. So even though inland you may pick up 13 inches of snow and get the so-called jackpot, the biggest impact is going to be in areas that get around 3 to 6 inches of snow within about 10 miles of the coast, because that's where we're going to have the strongest wind combined with the most dense snow, with a refreeze occurring right during the afternoon. And that would be put well by Jay Schaefer here on this tweet he sent out this morning. Those yellow impact areas, I think it was yellow, wasn't it? Those were the areas where we may have power outage issues. And yesterday I mentioned that the potential existed for blizzard conditions out here over Hull. And someone asked me, what's the criteria for blizzard? Well, it's 3 hours consecutive with winds gusting or sustained over 35 miles an hour, and snow, heavy snow with visibility for the most part below a ½ mile during that time. And it's going to be close near the rain snow line for blizzard conditions to develop. That is a beautiful bird. I think it's a woodpecker right there. Sorry. Yeah. So I think that what prevents a blizzard for most of us is the fact that where it's most windy, it's probably going to be raining on the warmer side of the coastal boundary. So over here in Hull, you may have a rain-snow mix with a wind gusting past 40 miles an hour for several hours Sunday morning, while you move just inland to say about I-95 around Newton and Needham. and your wind is from the north at 10 to 20 miles an hour, and you're about 10 degrees colder. And along that area, that's where your 2-inch per hour boundary, or 2-inch per hour snow banding on a boundary may be occurring. Yeah, I tried to memorize all this, and it got kind of complicated with a little help from Steve. So I think that here in my yard, the snow probably won't be quite Steve deep, but I think many of the hills, maybe even the summit of Blue Hill to Wachusett, it is a foot of snow. I've seen a lot of different accumulation forecasts out there, and I really don't understand the ones that are only going for 4 to 6 inches, but I think those are going to change, or mine's going to change. Anyhow, I think it's kind of straightforward, and I apologize for the choppiness of this. Not much and more. I was taking a cat nap yesterday, and I thought it was so cute with Mitt and Steve next to each other, and I pointed the camera out the window at a boat going by. And anyhow, I'll leave you with just a little of that. And how about a few scenes from Jay Peak, Vermont, from Sean this morning out his door. And I'll probably do a snowcast either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. So there's more to come. One take, spontaneity, it's how this works. Hope you are all hunkered down over the weekend, or you're chasing like me. Talk to you later. And there goes the yellow submarine back to port. General Dynamics, Shipyard, Bluefin Robotics. Another test in the books. That expression, catnap, is great, and I like to join them once in a while. Oh, sorry to bother you, Steve. Mitt. It was so beautiful in blue sky this morning, but once again, peaceful, glassy water. So fun, reflecting the sky. Calm before another storm. There's one going out to sea today, there's another one in 2 days, and then the one comes right over us in 4 days. I haven't been doing much today, just staring at the weather and interacting on Twitter, which I really enjoy.